Welcome to Crimson Guitars, welcome to my home studio, and welcome to the chaos that is an unscheduled live stream and something potentially a little bit dangerous. I enjoy pushing myself. I enjoy playing with things that I have no right to be playing with. I enjoy pushing buttons, shall we say. I don't enjoy it when my camera is off center, so I'm now in the wrong place. But this is that problem when you got them on rails on the roof. Greetings, salutations. How are you? Today I'm going to be taking a scalpel blade and cutting into the finish of a Gibson Les Paul. This is a precursor to me doing this a lot more. I've come to the realization over the last 6 months or so that the guitars that I love are the older ones. The guitars that have soul, have character, are the ones that are slightly damaged, are used, and obviously so. And you know, I would give up a lot to own a 59 Les Paul or a Blackguard Telly, or even just a relatively generic early 60s Strat, for example. Something you know, these are things that, in the same vein as my tool collection, for example, I use planes that are over 100 years old on a regular basis. They are my standard. That's what I use, and I use those not only because they are excellent tools, but because they have had a story. Now, here is where we have the difficult bit. Is it still a story if some arsehole has come up with a scalpel blade or some compressed air and artificially aged the instrument? Now, a lot of people think no, and they're very, very vocal about that fact, and they say, hey, yo, no, don't do that. Just I've had people suggest lending it to a teenager for 2 years. I've had people suggest literally put an instrument in a crate with fencing over it and then drive it down the road and see what happens. I don't see how that's any different to taking a scalpel blade to it, except it's a lot, well, more dangerous. A lot of people do not. No, Casey McDermott, I'm not taking a scalpel to a 50s Les Paul. Don't worry. Yeah, a lot of people get really insulted by the fact that this is done. Now, it's become a lot more mainstream. Murphy Labs it's a very expensive version of the guitar that I'm going to be, you know, messing around today. Pay 2, 3, 4 times as much as you would for the standard instrument, and they'll use the easy method, which is compressed air, etc. Murphy originally himself, he used scalpel blades, which is why I want to do this, or X-Acto knives, or whatever you would call it. Anyway, the interesting thing is I'm live streaming this, and it's going to end up being a video. I'm not planning on going full insanity. I'm not planning on going full relic on this guitar. But I'm also not saying no to anything. Now, if you've got an issue with somebody relicing a guitar or aging a guitar, feel free to talk in the comments, but please don't be mean. Yeah, don't be mean. There is an art to this. Now, my real goal is to, at some point, see if I can fake a nitro finish on a poly finished guitar. Because there was a period, they stopped putting nitro on Strats, for example, in the early 70s for, 20 years or so. And I wonder if I could take one of those Strats and make it look like a 60s Strat. with the checkering and the finish that we love. Now, that's besides the point. Anyway, look, this is a live stream. Let me say hi. Hi. Okay, so this is a standard for a live stream build on the channel. I'm not going to get everything done today, by no means. I might well be back tomorrow with some more. Wolford Guitars are saying, burn it! I've considered that. If you want to have a question answered, then please use the super chat function. Not only does that support the channel, but it guarantees I'll see the question. If not, I'm going to, during this, probably have a little bit more time to answer questions than normal, because it's going to be close-ups and we'll see how it goes. Any suggestions, let me know. I'm not going to be aging hardware. In fact, I'm not even going to be taking strings off today. Maybe. When you're doing this sort of thing, you leave the hardware on because the hardware would have protected the instrument to a certain extent in any case. Later on, I'm going to age the hardware down a little bit. I'm going to age the plastic. We might do some of that today. We might not. We'll have to see. Anyway, so Wolford Guitars, Adam to Remember says, I watched a Fender Custom Shop walkthrough video where the guy explained that the custom shop make up a story for the guitar as they relic it. This has been in a 60s smoke-filled bar, bashed around, etc. It absolutely makes sense, or you can forget the story and you can just look at a lot of photographs of other instruments that have had the real story. I was watching a Dave Simpson video recently, and he's awesome. He really is. If you haven't checked him out yet, please do. And he was relicing a Poly Strat. It was a it was a relatively cheap Strat basically, but he was taking elements from a 60s Strat he owns and copying those dents and dings and scrapes, and then from a, this is from a 59 Strat, this is from a, thing, and this is where my 4, and yeah, if you, there's got to be some, I choked on the word verisimilitude, there's got to be some truth in what you are doing. I absolutely agree. Bam Motzi says, hot cold treatment cracks nitro, which is very true, but there's absolutely no control over what that's going to do. So, and this is the reason why I want to do it the hard way, and because I tend to do things the hard way. So yeah, I'm looking forward to trying to do something. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Anyhow, so let's have a look. Doug Santianello is in. Bam Monty says, I have no issue with old guitars and the pattern of time that tells us the story of its life. Every nick has a memory, a story behind it, etc. I cannot stand the idea of artificial aging, not even if we're copying the artificial aging from somebody else. And this is the argument begins again and carries on. Now, when I do this to a poly finished Paul Reed Smith, for example, that's when the real trouble comes up. Creever, I suggest taken in the buried in the garden for a month. Stu J says, hungover, eating leftover pizza. I'm suffering, but now I can relax and see the hate for a fake relic finish. James Duff and Ben Crowe making Sunday lunchtimes great again. Thank you very much. Marcel in the Nuclear Village, how you doing? Doug Santaniello, Van Shank Guitar says good morning. James Duff and Wolford, Creever, Steve Tuttle, Inky Guitars. We've got a bunch of people in the building, and there we go. It's also a very, very hot day, so I'm not entirely sure how long we're going to do. Now, so here is an example. I'm changing what I do. Everybody's aware of the 7-year itch. I build guitars and I love building guitars, but for 20 years or so, that's all I've done. And I got into building guitars because I couldn't afford the guitars I wanted. And I still can't afford the guitars I wanted. Because it changes, doesn't it? Gosh darn it. But I wasn't collecting guitars, I was just making the guitars that I wanted to have. And that's all well and good. In fact, I'm seriously considering slimming down my collection of instruments that I've built myself in order to fund buying guitars by other people. I really really like guitars. And recently I've been buying a lot because I've found the way to justify that. This Les Paul is going to be raffled off. Somebody's going to win it in a competition, and it'll find a new life somewhere else, and I'll be able to take the money that I get from that and buy another guitar and do the same thing until, hey, maybe I will end up with a 59 Les Paul that we can all enjoy and look at. Or, yeah, you name it. There's any number of instruments that I want to experience for a period of time in an intimate fashion. There's nothing that I can go and visit ATB Guitars, for example. I was there last week. I've been on holiday this last week, and I happened to be near their shop, so took a half day off. And they've got a 53 Black Artelian at the moment, and it looks incredible. And I spent a good hour or so with it, but that's not the same as spending 6 months getting to know the instrument. So what I'm doing is I'm buying a guitar, getting really intimate with it, going to do something with it on the channel, and we'll raffle it off, and we'll see what happens. But anyway, I went on holiday with one guitar, and I had to pick up, I was picking some up on behalf of the business, but I actually came back with 13 instruments, most of which are relatively standard. I did a deal to buy a small collection, and the reason for this video is that part of that small collection was a new old stock Fender Custom Shop Stratocaster. And I've been looking forward to this instrument for weeks, like staying up at night thinking, oh, I'm really excited about this. Unfortunately, when I took it out of the case, it was the same day that I'd been at ATB Guitars looking at all of these early Strats, and it's just not the same. I really, with that particular instrument, I don't want a brand new, pristine, unused, it's felt sterile. I don't want that. I want something with character. And here is something else. Now, this is a 4-string bass. It's a Burns Sonic model, early 60s. It smells like it's been in those smoky bars. In fact, it really does. I quit smoking 10 years ago. Well, there we go. See, there's a dent. And it's the character of this sort of thing that gets me excited. Let's have a look. I'm gonna have to move some cameras actually, aren't I? So Lisa's saying, oh my God, 13. 5 of those 13 were part of a business thing through Crimson Guitars, so not actually other instruments to play with on the channel. But yeah, I managed to buy a small collection, this Custom Shop Strat, an American-made Telecaster, a faded SG, this beautiful beast, and yeah, a few other bits and pieces. So yeah, we'll see. Now, look at this. So you've got the finish is just falling away, and I love it. There's sections of lacquer in the case. And I really don't mind. It just means, okay, Mr. Camera, focus on that. The camera doesn't want to focus on that. There we go. Now, can I replicate this? Yeah, I absolutely can. Maybe not to this extent on the instrument that we're talking about, but you understand why this is something that people love. So anyway, let's get this up and have a look. There you go. So I picked up these two Les Pauls from a friend in the trade. The Lemon Burst on the right, that's what we're playing with today. This beastie has had a broken and repaired headstock at some point, and I'm not sure what I want to do with that. It's got a bare knuckle pickup in there at the moment. I've got the original one to put back in. This baby, this is who we're playing with. And the reason is that it's already got some natural buckle rash. All right, let's get that camera back in the right place. And read some comments and see what people think. So this is a beautiful guitar. Very nice flame maple top. It's absolutely stock, it's absolutely perfect, really. Except it's been used and loved. It's a 2016? Yeah, 2016 model. So, you know, we've got some pretty heavy wear going on. But no broken headstock. Yet. Potentially. Now, okay. I'm somewhat nervous about this. Yeah. Anyway, it is what it is. Now, let's see. Questions, queries. Paul Cook says, how do you relic binding? Answer, open the case. Lisa's asking how much we spent on guitars. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. Far more than I should have. Far more than I should have. Mark Jennings, how you doing, Mark? Okay, Deja Voodoo says, as far as Murphy Labs, well, those puppers sure know what they're doing. We generally refer to them as golden retrievers down under. So yeah, Casey's saying, if someone enjoys aging guitars and having an aged guitar, then yeah, what does it? Yeah, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not breaking the law. It's potentially devaluing it in the eyes of some people. But if you go in guitar shops, excuse me, high-end guitar shops around the world are full of pre-aged guitars because it's what sells. So yeah. Anyway. So here we go. So Bam Motzi, I'm mispronouncing your name. I don't get the umlauts right, I'm afraid. It says otherwise it's posing, pretending it's a guitar with history, with stories. It's for dentists or lawyers, etc. Paying to look like he spent his youth playing instead of studying. So by that argument, we're not allowed to buy 60s Strats or 70s Strats, or in fact, I'm not even allowed to buy this Les Paul because somebody else has done the damage to it. So I'm not allowed to have this because it's not my damage. It's unfortunately a flawed argument. But Bam Motzi does say each to his own at the end of that statement as well, which is the way to do it. Okay, and he says, on one hand, I'm not that keen on artificially aging a guitar. On the other hand, I bought an aged Gibson R8 because I liked that guitar. Very good point. Okay. Stephen Hatch is suggesting I check out Dr. Nitro at 8 Bomb Customs. I've seen Dr. Nitro before. I'm really interested in seeing if I can get a poly to look the same as a Nitro. And the whole reason I'm doing all of this stuff is because I want to potentially start producing guitars that come with a pre-aged sort of finish at headquarters, because it's the guitars that I like. So we'll see. Okay. Ooh. Okay, Bam says it's pronounced Mozzie to rhyme with Aussie. That one I will hopefully remember, so I wasn't too far off. Okay, come on then. I'm sort of putting this off a little bit. Actually, my problem is I haven't got photographs of this guitar, and my camera is up at the house, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do this. We've got to have before and afters, don't we? In fact, I should probably do an Instagram reel about this at some point. Hold on for a second. Mrs. Bunn, don't hit your head on that window. I've opened everything, and the window here is dangerously open. Okay, so anyway, this is what we're thinking about doing. Come on, camera. I am wondering, okay, it's got the wrong control knobs on there, and I think I've got the original ones in the case. Okay, now Michael Friesel, I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I had the exact same feeling. He used to hate the idea of artificial aging of guitars until he decided to think of it as another finish option. I had that exact realization about a year ago. I didn't necessarily hate it, I've done it, and I'm personally not against it, or I wasn't personally too against it. Full-on relicing has always been a little bit much, but aging the finish is, you know, it's a pretty thing. But yeah, it's just a finish option, and it is what it is. So here we go. Let's customize this finish, shall we? I'm going to start on the back. We've already got dents. We've already got some buckle rash going on, and there is no checking as a result of finish, of heat, etc. So I'm just going to go with a scalpel blade and see where I end up. Now, I've spent a lot of time looking at photographs of old guitars. I spent some time with the Real 59 Les Paul, for example, and I've got photos of that here on my phone, and we'll flash them up on the screen as well for you. Yeah, it's fun if I can find the photos, of course. Now, the reality actually is that the finish on this 59 doesn't quite have the kind of check-in that I had in mind for this. Tony says, has anybody suggested the heat gun and compressed air method? I've had moderate success with poly. I'm under the impression that absolutely 100% does not work with poly at all. That's very interesting. Anyway, what I'm actually going to do is use this Burns as my muse. This is the sort of finish that I'm after. This sort of linear cracking. It looks like flame maple. It looks like flaming. And it's a very natural sort of pattern that I like. And yeah, if I've got something to copy, why shouldn't I use it? So here we go. Let's just figure out how I can get this up on here. There we go. So beautiful. So of course I wasn't recording at that bit. So I'm after the linear checking that you've got on this base. So I'm going to put the base on the bench and going to copy that to a certain extent. I don't want to do this. See, no matter how much I love the look of it, it does feel naughty. It really, really, really does. Simon Lloyd, who's a member of the channel, thank you very much, Simon, says, I used to be anti-relic, but I think that if a guitar can have a look that makes you want to pick it up and play, that's all the better. Absolutely. Daniel Wotan says, Ben, it looks more realistic if you dent before you crack, as the dents are naturally a start point for cracks. Dan O'Caster, I've seen Dan O'Caster's stuff actually, is another aging pro in the industry. Look up his stuff, let's have a look. So yeah, I don't particularly want to do too many dents That's the thing. I want the finish to be aged. I want there to be a little bit of that. I mean, there is a dent in the headstock up here. So there's a dent up in the head where the volute would be if Gibson did volutes, but I don't want huge amounts of dents. I don't want to put in too much. I'm going to probably play around with the edge of the binding a little bit, maybe put a few in the edge here, but I'm not going too much in this case. I've been putting this video off for, I've had this guitar now for 3 or 4 months, but why not? Let's just play. Yeah. So this is the thing that makes that open. It's a similar sort of feel. And it's about the physicality of the scratches as well. So I wonder what would happen. I wonder what would happen if I did hit this with compressed air and heat, or put it in a freezer, or and then a heat gun, etc. After doing something like this. That's cool. So that edge there. So this Nitro feels like it's got quite a few plasticizers in it. Yeah. No turning back now. That's from Tutankhamun. Absolutely not. Creever says maybe use the blunt side of the knife to make it look more natural. The blunt side of the knife is perfect actually for making a finer, more delicate cut. That is for sure. The reality is that anything that happens at this point is just, well, it is just what it is. I saw an absolutely beautiful Murphy I think it was one that he actually did himself. It's a white SG, which is just perfect. I think that's in World Guitars. I'm actually chipping. And at this point it's going to get somewhat boring. There we go. Oh, that's nice. So if you get deep enough. Yeah, baby. Okay, cool. Oh no, I'm moving the camera you're looking at. So sorry. So there we go. Look at that. Okay, just I have watched a number of videos of people doing things like this, and I've just come to the conclusion that I can watch as much as I can spend weeks and weeks and weeks doing that, or I can just take a scalpel blade to it and learn as I go. And I'm not expecting this to be perfect. What is perfect? But yeah, well, it's going to be fun. Hold on, we've got a couple of super chats in. Thank you very much, guys. This is Rune Arnson. Says, will changing the finish on the guitar change its tone? That is a very, very good point. I don't really think so. Now, there is an argument for the fact that for example, this buckle rash on the back of this here, that is down to the wood, okay, and it's on the back of the guitar, so there's not that much, there's no ingrain there. Once the entire guitar is done, and if you've got lots of wood exposed, then the wood is gonna have more, it's gonna take in or lose more moisture, basically, which is fine to a certain extent. That could change the sound a little bit, the acoustic properties at least of the guitar. Removing a huge amount of finish, yes, that's going to change the acoustic properties of the guitar as well. How much of that translates into the amplifier and the amplified sound, that's something else. Sporadic Amnesic, how's it going? Says he's late to the stream. What have I missed? Lol, afternoon everybody. Ben started cutting a guitar. It took him a little while to get started because he was, yeah. Is what it is. Nervous. Nervous is the word. Anyway. So, whoops. So here we are. If I go in, I'm trying not to block the camera. There you go. And push hard enough, then at the corners you've got that bit where the lacquer is starting to come away from the wood, and you can actually, you can actually start getting, remove some of the finish if you wanna. The camera's in exactly the wrong spot. This feels naughty. Oh, I didn't change the camera shot. So sorry. Okay, I'm gonna have to dull this down at some point. It's feeling a little bit, I'm cutting relatively deep, which is giving me the look I want, where the finish is starting to come away, but it's feeling a little bit more physical than I really want, which is fine. Okay, so Deja Voodoo is saying that he thinks that there's less razor checking worldwide because that is how it occurs naturally, 100%. The problem is that what am I trying to say? If you're ever faced with the option between ascribing a reason to something being it's laziness. I honestly think that you can get, I'm not going to say that what I'm doing here is going to be better than, because this is the first time I've tried this. I can't believe I'm doing it on an actual Les Paul, but hey. I have control over what's going to happen, and I am absolutely Google's not confirming it for me. I think that most people do it the easy way, which is just temperature checking, because that's what happens. If you do it in a freezer, that's one thing, because the entire instrument goes into something, and then it goes, and the entire instrument is into a warm environment straight away, and the whole guitar will check, hopefully, in a relatively uniform way. But if you, I should be filming this. Hi. I believe that if you want a guitar-wide checking of the finish, then you have to put the whole guitar into a freezer and then take the whole guitar out into an environment where the whole environment is very, very warm, or vice versa. Heat the whole guitar up and then chuck it into a freezer and heat shock the whole thing at the same time. Doing it with a compressed can of air and a heat gun or something like that in localized areas means that you do get the checking 100%, but from what I've seen, I haven't done this yet, it's localized areas of checking that bear no resemblance to other areas of the guitar. And with this Les Paul, in the end, the whole instrument is going to look like this has happened to the whole instrument, rather than just areas of different random things. Apart from, I suppose, areas around the control knobs, for example, you can have a slightly different kind of effect because that's where the hole is and there's pressure, etc. But I don't want to have one area where everything's really tight, a little bit more heat, and then the rest of it's very broad and not that much checking, and you can sort of see where the heat gun went, or where you were spraying with your cold air. That's what I'm trying to avoid. And I think that most people will choose the easy route when doing something like this commercially. Understandably so. You know, if I was doing this commercially, I would, and I'm thinking about doing it commercially, I will use a freezer. So anyway. John Young saying, Ben, burn it. Everybody knows you wanna. Now, I don't see why this... I don't think this checking is something that should take weeks and weeks and weeks to create, either. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's starting to get what I want. I must say that the next time I do this is probably going to be on a... I need to do a little bit more practicing on a budget instrument first. We'll see what the end result is though. Okay, queries, comments, questions. Deja Voodoo, thank you very much, says this looks cool AF. Burn a crimson logo into it. I could probably hide a crimson logo. This is from Matt Turman. Northeast Coins, sounds like you've got some interesting hobbies. I found a 1798 Maltese solid silver coin through Vintage Tool Shop. I was clearing a workshop. That would be worth about £400 if some absolute arsehole hadn't decided to flatten it with a planishing hammer to make it. I suppose he was going to use it just for the silver. Just... Sorry. Anyway, it says, my brother had a Les Paul back in the 80s and sold it last year. He was in the market for another one and found the one he sold back in the 80s and bought it back again, and it's still in great condition. That's really cool. I was the other day reading about somebody who had a guitar stolen, finally found it on Reverb, and he had to buy it back for full price because even though he had the police reports, etc., he couldn't get it back, which hardly seems fair, does it? But anyway, it is what it is. This isn't hard. Okay. Andrew Clayton says he recalls Anderson's, probably Anderton's, TV talking about Murphy Labs Gibsons having an M somewhere in the cracking. Are you looking to put your sigil in there somewhere in a subtle way? I wasn't, but I am now. Paul Cook says, see one, do one, teach one. Yeah, this is not me teaching. This is going to be a 10-minute video of how my first one went. And then eventually I'm going to have my own opinions. So there we go. Deja Voodoo, yeah, I saw that. It says, Trogley got a high-end aged gold top this week. They're getting pretty good. The green oxidation looks hard to get right. I absolutely agree with that. If I do go into this in a big way, I'm going to have to get my hands on some originals and then sort of start playing with finishing, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so what I've got here is the relatively rounded edges of this buckle rash, but now that I'm creating a fake, I should have recorded that. And again, so we've got this buckle rash that was original to the instrument. But now that I'm creating all of these lines, the edges of the buckle rash don't really make sense. So what I need to do is pull some of that away. And now we've got some fresh wood that I'm going to have to darken up a little bit, and we'll get to that later. But yeah, being round is fine, except where you've got your edges, because it would naturally want to break like that. So we're gonna change this a little bit. Now the other thing is, once I start doing the sides, I'm going to have to line up and match the marks that I'm putting on this side, on the back, sorry. Let's see if I can get this camera here, because that makes more sense. Actually, while we're here, so see how even it is. This went from the back of a cold van into a very warm pub. Many times, I would say. Wasn't the best to finish to start with, I'm sure, but it has character. Now what I'm missing here is that one's got a lot more curves in it. So we've got some straight lines, but we also need curves, which aren't quite as easy to put in. But it's important. I'm in the swing of it now. Okay, Casey McDermott's come with a super chat. Thanks very much, Casey. And he says, Ben, I'm less than halfway through the second build of my illustrious guitar building career, and I'm going on my 5th fretboard between them. I'm trying to stay with it, but man, it's rough. Continued in chat. Okay, if you or anyone knows of a good source of pre-slotted baritone fretboards in the US, I'd be ever so grateful. Sorry, those are in the wrong order. It's a two-parter. No, it came through in the right order. Okay, so I don't know. in the US, somebody else might be able to help you out. Crimson certainly do them, and our shipping is now limited to at most £20 shipping wherever you are in the world, no matter how big the order is. For general customers ordering stuff on the web, at least. Commercial clients buying 20 guitars to put in their shop, that's a different story entirely. Of course it is. But yeah, other than that, I don't know the US market at all myself. Maybe somebody in the chat can help you. Benjamin Bellamy says, all the budget guitars on the market and you experiment on an actual Les Paul. Yeah, why not? I'm aware that there's many reasons why not. Stephen Hatch says, how many budget guitars are finished in Nitro? Well, this is the thing. So Stephen, my long-term goal is to see if I can get a poly guitar looking like Nitro, because why not? But yeah, I'm getting a feel for what I want this one to look like. So my big issue is that it all needs to be, well, it's not a big issue. It all needs to be fairly homogeneous and even looking as I go. Yeah. And in answer to the earlier question of budget guitars versus actually doing this on a Les Paul, my initial thought was even naughtier. My initial thought was that I was going to do this on my I think it's 90s PRS Custom 24, and this is the one with the moon dots, which they've discontinued and all that. And I really like the idea of this with that sort of this sort of checking all over it. I think it would look incredible. I saw a beautiful I think it was a 50s I think it was a 50s Les Paul Junior in black, which is rare, with incredible checking. Just oh, but no. Instead of doing it on this, I'm doing it on this. I think because I don't love this guitar. I've had it now for 6 or 7 months. The 24 frets. It's just not for me. So this is going to be on the channel and available at some point soon. Anyhow, all right, so tell me, people, is this as boring as I thought it was going to be? Tony Murphy, good name, says, shouldn't the checking follow the grain lines, i.e. the direction of expansion contraction during the changes in humidity? This is what it looks like. I'm copying this bass here. We've got that checking, and it's lateral with smaller sections, vertical, and this is also this pattern here is also something that I've seen on many other instruments, including, I'll see if I can find it. There's a beautiful, yeah, basically this is the way it goes. Oh, so many photos of so many gorgeous guitars. I'm sorry, I'm putting you through this. Here we go. Okay, so this is a Tom Murphy Telecaster that he did. I'm going to have to put this into the yeah, you can just see that on the live stream there. It's the same sort of thing, and this is the look that I absolutely love. Not very many dents, a little bit of obviously wear there, but yeah, that just gets me going. It really does. So anyway, yeah, I don't particularly like the dimple backplates myself. Oh, out of focus, sorry. Now, I wish I had more photographs of this Murphy Lab from the back. Anyway, what I do have is some photos of an actual 59. So let's just find those quickly. Now, another guitar that's going to be on the channel at some point is a 65 Music Master II that it's an incredible instrument, actually. Short scale length, 22.5-inch scale, I believe. I love it. I absolutely love playing it. 37mm nut, though, which is a bit strange. But yeah, it's incredible what... what people will do. Okay. Bob Quigley says the spider webbing was the bane of old show cars' clear coats. I believe it. Deja Vu says more on Dr. Nitro. He works restoring and maintaining ancient religious art in cathedrals around Poland and Russia. Wow. He comes at relicing from this unique place and profession. That's incredible. Well, this is the thing. So I've been trawling through video after article after article on how to do this, and I figured the very best way is to just do it and see what people say in the comments, and then from there we'll move on. So I'll have that's what I'm after. Doing a little bit of research. Because it does feel like I'm going to end up actually just relicing the hell out of this whole thing. Because why not? Fine. Fine. This is going to be a longer thing. I'm not going to do most of this on a live stream because it's going to get boring, to be honest. But hell, it already is, in my opinion. Yeah. But why not? So just moving around to there we go, get a few different shots. I love this little bass. Right, Lisa says, going off to be domestic, peeps. See you later for the Q&A. Have a good day and take care now. See you later, Lisa. Yes, Q&A, 8 p.m. tonight. Same place, same time, as usual. I had a good break. Well, I had a break last week for a family holiday. And here we are, back. that is starting to get there. I also think that there was about maybe 2 or 3 minutes without me saying a single word on a live stream. It's got to be a first. Okay, Red Dog 24 says, I should be settled here real soon. I hope I have a spinal cord simulator in my spine, and when I play guitar with it turned on, you hear buzzing through the amp. Weird, man. Okay, I am missing part of the conversation. I am sure of that. Richter Natal says, at least the 2016 is the Henry J era Gibson. That's a good point. I'm looking at my 2019 60s original standard in the corner of the room and thinking, nope, I wouldn't do this to that. That is a fair point. Although they do it every single day, so it's one of those things. I quite like this instrument. I bought it fully expecting to find many egregious issues, and it's not actually bad. It's not bad. So yeah, there you go. Okay, camera 2. All right. I'm going to hang this beastie back up again. Yeah. That's cool. So I've got to be careful. I want it to look even. I've got to be careful to have a similar sort of amount of pressure going throughout. I'm tempted. I'm properly tempted. Yeah. I'm properly tempted to actually put some oil in the open cracks that could potentially go in and stain the wood as if it had been well, nicotined, etc. In old pubs. But I think what I'm learning from doing this here and on the live stream is that actually this isn't the sort of thing I should do on a live stream until I'm a little bit more confident in what I'm doing. And I mean, that would be wise, wouldn't it? Yeah, I need a little bit more research as well. Hold on. Where is... I've got about 14 million books on guitars. Here we go. This one, if you haven't got this yet, it's yeah, it's epic. So all sorts of lovely old Gibsons, and obviously got a lot of photos of beautiful old Les Pauls. None from the back. Yeah. Nope, the pictures aren't close enough. Not what I need. Okay. If you have any questions, queries, comments, questions, I said that twice. Let's have a look. The learning is what makes it fun to watch, says Tahoe Mike. I suppose well, it depends on how badly I mess it up, really. If I do. I'm happy with this so far. But we'll see. IFX, I agree. What about test pieces with different timbers and finishes? In a year or so, once I've got the experience doing this on lots of guitars, I'll be able to do that properly. Creever says, is it wise to wear sandals in the workshop? No, not really, but it is also very hot here, and I'm only using a single scalpel blade, which I will be able to dodge. Bob Quigley says I go barefoot. I normally don't. I'm normally very worried about dropping things on toes, but yeah, I'm still in holiday mode. Okay, so Dave T. Now this is the thing. So Dave T says, Ben, heat up the guitar with a hairdryer and then spray it with very cold compressed air. It will crack a treat. I want to get an even cracking across the whole thing, which is why I'm doing it by hand. However, it has crossed my mind to get the even big cracking like this and then use the temperature method. But we'll see. Maybe what we'll do is, I've got this other Les Paul sitting over there. Maybe I'll use the heat method on that one. And we'll compare the two and see, yeah, and we'll see. Bob quickly again says, Ben, just throw it down a flight of stairs, repair the inevitable headstock break, and then you're done. Lol. Okay. So some of this around here, I didn't go deep enough, so it doesn't match the rest of the scratches. So I've got to now follow some lines, or do I? Yeah, that's fine. This is going to be so cool. What do you think then? It's a starting place, isn't it? All right then. Okay. Bob quickly calls me Ben Murphy. We're not quite, but thank you. One day, maybe. Okay, no real questions here. Paul Cook says the pattern is kind of reminiscent of shred in a way. Yeah, that is true. Paul Richards says, so strange how artificial aging gets folks so wound up. It's literally just a finish option. It's like getting angry over red guitars or single cutaways. It's weird, really. Very, very true. Paul Cook says, do under the cavity covers too. This is the thing. So I'm not entirely, I don't know how much of that would actually be affected. My problem is that I haven't experienced as many antique guitars as I would like. So the real question is, does it stop under here? I'm just going to swap. Haha, actually. Yeah, I'm liking this. I am liking this. It's so scary doing something like this. Yeah, so I'm just gonna lift a little bit of this scratch plate so that I can see what's happening on under here with regards to the finish and how far. Yeah, the cracks do actually continue underneath the scratch plate of this base. So I need to take the cavity covers off and do that. Now, one of the other problems I've got with doing this is that potentially somebody who really doesn't know what they're talking about would take a look at something like this and not know it's modern tuners or read the fact that it says 2016 on the back and think that it's a much older instrument and worth more. That's a potential problem. Well, because they get disappointed, obviously. Okay. Jeff Williams says, hey Ben, hello from Tennessee. While building my workbench, I've learned the joy of using a hand plane. I rescued a number 5 Stanley from an estate sale, took it apart, cleaned it up, and sharpened it. My first attempt at this, and it worked great, all thanks to watching you. Thank you for watching, and thank you for getting into hand tools. Seriously, there are things that a machine tool just won't do. Or at least won't do particularly well. You will not regret it. Papa says, when done carving, then hit the cracking with heat to change the edges. I think that's, I'm tempted to do that. But it's also so that the lacquer itself is too shiny. Let's record this. So the lacquer itself is also too shiny. So the reality is that after all of this, I want to dull it down a little bit with a little bit of semi-abrasive something. I might hit it in places. I hate wire wool, but something like fine Scotch Brite, or even better yet, a fret polishing rubber. So this is that's a medium. I'd worn off the bit where it says what it is. A fine fret rubber will take down those edges, also add in a little bit of dirt, but also dull the finish down to a certain extent without getting any metal left over from wire wool or anything in the pickups and all of that. And it's relatively subtle, but there we are. Jeff Williams sent a $1 super chat. Thanks very much, Jeff. There was no question though. Eric Jewell says that old bass is sexy. I picked it up on the weekend. This past week. I'm seriously tempted to keep it. I'm a collector. I'm a collector of all sorts of stuff. And if I allow myself to start thinking that I'm going to collect guitars, before I know, I'm not going to have enough room to move. So I'm trying to not, but I also want to. You know what I mean? So the thought is, do I collect, enjoy a guitar or a bass or something for 6 months, get to know it, and then raffle it off, or do I do that with most of them and just keep the really interesting ones here? Do I want to start a museum? Literally, we've got the possibility that I could say, look, the goal is to start an actual guitar museum where we really want to end up having 59 Les Pauls and Blackguard Tellys and, you know, early Strats and everything that Burns ever made, for example. Do I want to do that and have that as my goal? I kind of do. Do I need anything else in my life to add more complication? No. But I wanna. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Eric Jewell says you're becoming a bass man, Ben. Okay. Paul, you're right. Same thing, Steve. Yeah. They've probably already lost their money for NFTs if they fall for a guitar like this. Stephen Hatch says, I collect all sorts of things too. I found a cure for it though. I'm poor, so I can't buy things anymore. I have spent far more on guitars in the last couple of months than I should have, because I decided to start doing this on the channel. The only way I can justify it is that I can raffle them off. There's a raffle going right now for the Taylor Solid Body, which is a really cool guitar, and I'm making some profit on what I bought that guitar for. I put in a lot of time to getting it right, and the profit from that guitar has already been spent on some of the guitars I bought last week, even before I got the money, so that I can do more videos and keep more stuff going. If I have a guitar a day go up, it could be excellent. So there we go. Gody the Roadie says, have you any thoughts on the wear around pots? Super glue and masking tape trick with sandpaper onto your pinky and then turn the pots up and down will give years of play effect sooner. I'm wondering about going full relic on this, and yes, something like that would absolutely work. I should get you to come over and do some of this. Ape Song says, I just had a heart-to-heart talk with my 6 guitars and told them they will never come close to a scalpel. I love it. Okay, anyway, there we go. This is, we're getting there. My only regret is that when I started, I was being a little heavy-handed with the scalpel. It's a little bit deeper than I think I should have gone, and I'll be more delicate moving forward. And it's a learning process, so yeah, we'll get there. I'm happy with that. I need to look at some photographs. If you have any questions, hit me. Okay. No, that's more a history book than a let's look at pretty pictures. I tell you, somebody had an idea on the channel and I'm going to actually do it. One of you guys suggested that I should essentially publish a book. I should publish a book of photographs of old guitars with proper, real age marks and checking and relicing and all that sort of stuff, and as a reference journal for people wanting to do this sort of work. And I am so tempted to do that. Come on, I just want to see some photographs of really, really dinged up old Les Pauls, and they're just not about. Well, well, well. How about Guild? Nope. All right. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna age under there. No point. All right. What I want to look at Bob Quigley's talking about making new scratch plates when they're brown Bakelite. They were Bakelite, assuming we're talking about, I think they were Bakelite, and the Blackguard Teddies was actually, the Bakelite was finished in Nitro, which is a really, really cool thing. Okay, at this point, what I really want to do is pull up on the computer a bunch of photographs of guitars and do this, which I can't really do, during the live stream. So what I'm going to do is call this a day. We've been going for 2 hours. If you have any questions, give me a shout. We'll do that. This requires more thought than I can rightly give it while also streaming. Now, I want to do this right. Yes, the plastic looks wrong. The screws look wrong. I could potentially replace the plastic with some with the bakelite. That's what we're talking about. I get it. Okay. But yeah, I don't know. All right, let's see. Matt Toman says, how do you age the cavity covers? I think what I'm going to do, when I started this 2 hours ago, my plan was to not bother a full relic. I wasn't going to scratch or rip things apart or put mini dents on, etc. And the second you do this, you think, I can't not, because it's not just the finish, it is the age stuff. So yeah, there we go. Tawdry Writer says, yeah, if you rush it, you could scratch the back. Tell you what, let's stick around for a little bit, because I do want to. Yeah. Fine. I'm just going to do some. How do you do that? You do it starting with a scratch is on here. And it goes across. Yeah. Must be. Must be indeed. I just need more photos. I need a reference book. Emphatically. And this is the bit that I feel awkward. You guys are just watching me scroll around on my phone. How annoying. Mm-hmm. Fine. Tyler Mark says, it's okay if you take your time, don't worry about us. Of course, I'm so old. I actually have an attention span. Ah. Mm-hmm. Okay. So yeah, look, at this point, I'm going to... Oh, that looks good. I think that looks good. Line up the cracks and bring them around the side. And then I'm going to keep the stream going for a little bit longer. I then want to add some damage on here. So you've got to put the knife in the cut that you're a continuation of, so the whole thing's even and good. Go to the road, he says knocks and dents can be done with a stick and stone, probably from the garden. Super glue the stone to the stick and tap away. I mean, you can use pretty much anything. I think Tom Murphy had a sort of bunch of keys that he used. Just a rusty old spanner was one of his other tools, I seem to recall. He's done a few videos talking about things that he used. I would rather be a little bit more analytical and create. I would rather physically copy something that I've seen. Tawdry Writer said, the missus threw a wooden nun at me and put 3 dents on my guitar. It sounds interesting. Bunch of people giving me ideas of where to look for photos of these old guitars, so I'll check those out. Ian Gregory says, great idea for a museum, Ben. Like the cars Dad drove museum in the Peak District, you could sell hands-on experience days to help fund the purchases. Well, that's the thing. If I do it properly as a museum, it's not only me buying guitars for a collection, etc. It's the hate is still coming, J Handle. Yeah, the point of the museum is, the point of almost everything I do is education, or at the very least the search of knowledge, even if that knowledge is, hey, I shouldn't do that, or this isn't the way to do it, or this is the way to do it. We run the biggest guitar building school in the world because I love getting people to build guitars. I love getting people building, making, creating, using tools. That is what keeps me going. The fact that the end result is a guitar is almost superfluous to my reasons for doing it in the first place. You guys all suspect that I do this because I like buying tools and using tools, and that's right to a certain extent. The museum would be somewhere where people would come and visit, maybe donations or a small entrance fee or something like that. And yeah, there could be, come in, have a coffee, and sit down and experience and actually physically hold some of these interesting guitars, if we could get proper guitars in. And yeah, people would donate guitars to it, and we would buy others, and we would sell some in order to get the other ones. And it's just, it is what it is. So yeah, Dave T says, Ben, what's your plan for the neck? I'm not entirely sure. That's what I need to look more photos of. The neck on this bass is interesting. It's wide lines going up and down. I saw this Blackguard Teddy the other day, which had some serious dents on the back that looked really pretty and interesting. Too many people just strip a huge amount of lacquer off and leave it dirty wood with sort of hard lines, and I'm not interested in that. So yeah, we'll see. We shall see. J Handle says, deliberately damaging an instrument just to fake someone into thinking it's old when we all know it's not is, sorry, but I don't know any other way to put it, stupid. Stop it. J Handle says, out. That's not what we're doing. If anybody was doing this in order to fake in order to sell a guitar as something it's not, that is fraud, and that is, well, it's not only stupid, it's illegal, and people need to be arrested for doing that. I am, and most people who do this, and there are probably not millions, but there are thousands and thousands and thousands of customers, hundreds of thousands of people who buy Relic guitars because they like the look. It's not trying to make somebody believe that it's an old guitar. It's somebody wants a finish that looks like an old guitar because that's what they like, and they can't afford the old guitar. Or actually, Relicing started because people who had the old guitars found that they were too valuable to gig and they wanted something that looked and felt the same, and they took them out, on stage with them. That's where this whole thing started. It is not a moral thing. We are not faking, we are not breaking the law, we're not creating fakes or forgeries. We are creating an interesting finish that has a look that people like. Earlier I said I picked up last week a brand new old stock custom shop Fender, and I hate it. It's a nice guitar, but it's not what I want. It's too shiny, it's too soulless. Now Fender Custom Shop do the new old stock, then they do 3 other levels of aging, because most people don't want a new guitar nowadays. Same thing with Gibson. I would say probably more of what they're higher end guitars, more of the guitars at the higher end are aged or relicked in some way. And you're not on their channels giving them shit, are you? It's what customers want. And quite frankly, it feels naughty. And therefore, it's also a little bit fun. Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this one or raffle it off. That there is a delivery, and my puppy's going a little bit crazy. Okay, Gertie the Roadie says, I watched a video about Dimebag Darrell's guitars and there was a dent high up in the neck where his thumb had worn away not just the finish, but the neck wood as well. Absolutely. It's amazing, and I'm sure that they replicated that if the custom shop were making a version of their guitar, which I think they've done, then they'll replicate that the whole thing. Trying to get a shot where you can sort of see what's happening. Anyway. Dunsi's Guitar World says, the lacquer cracking is beginning to look like my 65 Melody Maker, but you'll need to make a couple of dozen big dents to catch up. I agree, there's going to have to be some dents now. That wasn't the plan originally. I've got a 65 Music Master 2, which I love, and I think I'm going to keep. Yeah, anyway. Bam Mozzie. Yes, I said that right. It says it's a choice if you don't like artificial aging guitars to tell the truth of their life, then buy a new guitar and play it, or buy a used guitar that is genuinely aged through use. But it is still, as Bam says, what's his name's choice? J Handle's choice. But anyway, it's fine. This sort of video always gets hate. which is one of the reasons why I've avoided doing it for so long, actually. But I've just come to the conclusion that I'm here because I want to be here, not... And if I want to, as long as it's guitar related, it should be on the channel. I'm having fun. I'm yeah, being me. So here we go. Let's get a different camera angle. So something I've seen in the past is some cracks extending out of the strap button area. Because it was under tension when the temperature changed. So that's quite an interesting effect. And I'm definitely going to have to age this hardware. So I'm probably going to use acid or a combination of acid and sandpaper and different things. I think this is going to be a relatively long-term project for me. So we'll see. But here we are. So we've got the back done at this stage, and then the sides, which you can't really see because the camera's decided to mess with us. There we go. I need to do more on that side. Yeah, I'm liking this. It's probably going to look shit right up until the end, but we'll see. Or if not shit, at least questionable. It's amazing how rapidly you get used to just cutting into something that used to be a sort of a grail. You know, I never thought that I'd ever own a Les Paul. You know, I grew up with absolutely nothing, and yet here I am. Doing this to one. Dujay suggests I use the wooden handled screwdriver, the handle, to do that. Bob Quigley says, yeah, they radiate down from where the pots bolt down to. Yes, I'm very much looking forward to doing that. That's I've got photos of that on one of the 59s, and I'm going to copy it as exactly as I can, actually. Hydrogen peroxide, white vinegar and salt in a solution can help with the hardware, but it can't be too strong a mix. Paul Cook says, if it looks really shit, just cover it in shielding paint and silver grain fill. Or is it too soon for that? Hell, I could strip the whole thing back, sand it to perfection, and refinish it in brand new Nitro if I needed to. Yeah, I think it's going to look absolutely fine, though. Dave T says, Ben, I read it to kit base. It now feels warm and it now feels and plays worn in just like some of my older bases. Relicing has its place. Enough said. I absolutely agree. It's also far more commercially. It's commercially accepted now. People don't have an issue buying Relic instruments, whereas you know, when I did my first Relic job on a PRS 10 or so years ago, it was very, very frowned upon. Very. Hilariously so. Okay, so I'm using cheap mic stands as tripods, well, as tripod replacements. I still need to sort them out. They're a little bit shit. Alright, so here's where we're at with this. I do want to remove a chunk of material here, and it's going to be, well, it's going to be interesting to do. It's so there's going to be a whole wear area here. I need to remove the material, and the edges want to be consistent with the crackles. So in other words, the story of this guitar is that it cracked, it checked, and then it's been played and aged, and bits and pieces of the lacquer have fallen off and cracked inside of those checks, and we'll see. So I'm going to have to come back in afterwards and dirty up the areas that are open. Now, this is option number one. Little bit delicate. Until you get it going properly. Do you see how I've got that area now where I've got the square of the checking and I've lost some lacquer inside? And it should be a continuation potentially of what's going on here. So that looks realistic. But I want to carry this all up and through. So let's see what happens. All right, Sweet Tea Guitars, how you doing? Says, I like what you're doing with that Les Paul. Of course, I'm a Strat guy. It wouldn't matter if it was a Strat. It's your guitar. Do what you want with, brother. Profit and loss. Carol Wood says, as a huge fan of Gibson guitars, I will say that I'd happily own a Relicing, as has been done by Mr. Bunn. Then even better. Raffle this one off and I'll buy a ticket or three. Carol, I may well. It depends on... The plan is that it will be raffled off, but to fund the next one, and then maybe the Les Paul over there will do something else. But yeah, I'm going to have to raffle off 3 out of every 4 or 5 guitars that I work on here, at least when we're talking about guitars that cost at the sort of prices that we're talking about. The end result though is that I really am very tempted to start this museum, and I'm very, very tempted to keep... The goal is to have significant guitars that people can then come and visit and experience, and you know, we'll see how it all develops. Anyway, Gody the Roadie says, I've always wanted to go all out on a Les Paul Relic. Maybe this could spawn the Crimson Relic department. Absolutely. I mean, we are doing a lot more repair work at Crimson now. Yeah, it's... we would absolutely do some relicing if people wanted it. Anyway, look, I need to find a photograph. There's an image in my head of a Les Paul I saw at some point. Problem is I can't remember exactly which one it was now. Nope. Crikey. Paul Cook says, lol, relic a new one to make it look older and restore an old one to make it look newer. Offend everyone. I like the way you think. I'm looking for... Come on. Really? I can't even find the folder that I know this thing is in at the moment. Just search for it. What an idiot. Nope. Dave T says, Ben, hit the guitar on the front of the bottom of a beer bottle. Could look good. Signs of a gig gone wrong. I've seen exactly that. So yeah, we're going for a fairly heavy relic here then. Okay. So here's the thought, we're going up to the plate here, taking away some of that, and then going to about there, essentially where the belly carve is on a Strat, etc. And then a little bit around on the edge, not a huge amount. But yeah, now a scraper is one option. That'll just scrape away. That's actually that's quite a nice dull patch there, so that's interesting. But then when I get to the edges, I'll go in and crack them away like I have with this. The scraper is not particularly sharp. You see, I've got a problem with not finishing my sentences. Not entirely sure. Yeah, I don't want to. So I want to go down to there, but I don't want to damage the gloss on the bit that I'm not removing, which is why I'm thinking that the chisel might be a better bet. But I also don't want to go too deep underneath the lacquer. I don't want to chisel away wood, you see. So in reality, what I might need to do is use a hot air gun. There we go. Now the scraper is also feathering the edges, making it smooth to a point. Focus. Well, I think that's a pretty good start, don't you? All right, I'm going to sit on that for a minute, see what I think. Dave D says, Ben, when an instrument has a nitro finish that is worn through to the wood due to the natural wear, the area where the wood is shiny. yeah, that's dirt and sweat and all of that gets in there, and obviously you're abrading it away with soft stuff. So yes, that's going to have to be buffed up a little bit and made dirty to match this patch in the center as well at some point. Luthiers tool idea from Rick de Natal. This is a belt buckle with a built-in scraper. Just want a crimson logoed belt buckle could be quite cool. Maybe with this sort of thing on. See what happens. Okay. Deja Voodoo says Ready came along, took shape in the last 30 minutes, looking great so far. Thanks very much. I'm feeling less trepidatious about things. Let's put it that way. What about the opposite side for a water patch like it's been rested on jeans repeatedly? Good shout. Deja Voodoo says, to be clinically objective, there is a huge market for relicing, and if you make a living making guitars, it's probably something worth investigating. It emphatically is. It really is. So, yeah. I love how the scraper is sitting in the cracks that I've made with the scalpel and ripping away lacquer as it really would have. Whereas if I'd done the scraping first, then I just have I'd have the raw wood, but it would be in a relatively clean shape. This is coming through as it would, which is obviously the point. Or at least as it would in a certain circumstance. There are many different ways. And most people don't actually play their guitar as much as it would take to achieve this finish, and that's the real thing. If this guitar hadn't had the belt buckle rash, I would be going a lot lighter with it. But it already had a huge belt buckle bash. So here we go. Don't go against the grain, Ben. Didn't I just tell myself not to go across the grain? Against the grain? Okay. Yes, I agree. Rick de Natal, that is the process to use on the neck. Put the cracks in, and then go in and scrape away, leaving sections that match the cracks and sections that don't, etc. So the whole thing. It's an awkward spot. Again, going against the grain. Yeah, full. yeah, unhappy with this. Coming together. Or falling apart, one of the two. Okay. Where are we? Yeah. Right. Ben, would it be an idea to wet the exposed wood before buffing to kind of simulate sweat? Dave, I am I am tempted to I saw a thing, it might well have been on Trogley actually, where some guy had used olive oil to clean or whatever his guitar over years, and it got into the cracks and made a really cool effect. I'm so tempted to do something like that. I was also wondering about doing the same sort, well, dropping stuff. I was wondering about doing something like that, but with guitar finishing oil, or even vinegar or some sort of acid, and see what would happen there. But yeah, I mean, hitting it with water is not a bad idea at all. Or beer. Should we do beer? Richter Natal says, I wonder if pumice might be of use to level the effects. Yes, so, well, for example, where we're at here, with this, in order to smooth things over, you can try a fret rubber, and that's adding some dirt and crud, but it's also an abrasive, so it's essentially like sandpaper. It's smoothing things out. Get a coarser one. Go right back down to coarse, actually. Now, I wonder. Embossing powder, inlay powder is what I'm after. Right, so that's gunmetal grey. Aluminium powder. So yeah, some crimson inlay powder. This is the aluminium stuff. Very fine. It's not actually giving me quite the colour I was expecting. Okay, so that's not doing what I wanted, which means it is on to something a little bit more traditional. Black stain. Ooh. Shielding paint. Shielding paint might just do it. But no, I'm looking for some brown stain. Problem is, my stains are not yet anywhere in particular. They're all in a box, so it's going to take a little bit of work to find the one I want. This is most incredibly annoying. I think I found every single colour twice. Except for any browns. There's seafoam green. It's yellow. Red, blue, green. Peach, orange. Last one Alright, just found some brown. And remember, if I don't like this, we can take it off again in a minute. Not far off. of amber. Okay, so I've got to get some dark into those bits there. And now that I know it's working, I can afford to be a little bit more rough with that. A little bit of yellow. Back to the amber. Now that's some aluminium powder. Who suggested grease? Steve. I like the way you think, Steve. Okay, so I'm not happy with how it's looking up at this top edge here, but I am very happy with the progress along here. So let's find some grease, shall we? Ugh, yuck. This is nasty stuff. Yuck. I'm really enjoying this. Oh, yuck. So I'm wondering, this sort of yellowy effect that I've got around there, I wonder if that's due to hitting it. I think it's due to hitting it. So I need something to hit it with. We can do that. Tahoe Mark says, I once worked moving furniture. A little axle grease from the truck is an old mover's trick for hiding new scratches in old furniture. Cheeky. I like it. Okay. All of my everything has moved. I'm looking for a soft hammer. Gosh, I love old tools. Okay. Anyway, look, we are drawing to a natural conclusion. I don't have. Yes, I've lost my soft hammers, leather-headed mallets somewhere. I've not got a clue. So I'm just going to go around and hit it with, as was suggested earlier, screwdriver. That's not creating the same look as around that belt buckle area. The wood is, however, buffing up the lacquer where the scraper had dulled it off, which is interesting. Okay, we're all good. Hit it with your rhythm stick from Rick at the top. Okay, D Walker says, hi Ben, I've just bought a Fender 57 custom shop heavy relic Strat for £4,000. I love the body and overall feel, just not happy with the amount of finger wear on the fretboard as it looks too over the top. I'm actually not surprised it's out of tune at this point. This is the thing. I'm the relicing side of things, you never really know what you're going to get. I suppose with that in particular, did you buy it sight unseen? Just say, I want a heavy relic, and they give you what they fancy? Or did you see pictures of it beforehand? Now, I need a different colour of stain in here. Let's put some cherry red over the grease. I wonder how that's going to go. I'm just trying to get the colours a little bit closer. To what's in the middle there. I think we're doing quite well. Tyler Mike says at least the screwdriver's now relic as well. Okay. That does look like it's been there for a long time. And that's the whole point. And a pristine neck. Ha! Okay. Pietro Huskin says, stop with those crimson stains, Ben. You should have used red wine. That's a good point, but a waste of wine. Depends on the quality of the wine, I suppose. Matt Thomas says, Ben, you need a whammer, a big hammer. I like that. Bob buckles are made of metal, not wood, so you need a small metal hammer, but it's not hammering it, it's gently abrading away. Sandpaper, I could work with sandpaper. A jeweler's hammer, says Nick Jones, so yeah, a little planishing hammer. Let's have a look at this. No, it's not getting that same. It's not getting that same yellow effect. I collect hammers, by the way. You might. Ooh. Did that do it? No, not quite. I mean, I could keep going. Or not, or not. It's one of my favorites. So this is our Timmins, I think. And then I've got all the way down to this thing, which is 15th, 16th century. Beautiful. Anyhow, okay, back to reality. Where I am sitting is a part relic instrument, and I've run. Hold on, Mrs. Bunn is delivering tea. Thank you so much, my love. Okay. Yeah. If you have any questions, comments, criticisms, let me know in the questions here. I'm going to go away and look at. I'm going to go away and download a bunch of photographs and save them in the same folder on my phone as to specific areas that I want to replicate on the rest of this instrument. I'm not by any means finished. If you watch Adam Savage, for example, he will be aging something and he will go first pass, second pass, third pass, fourth, and he ends up with what he requires. This is the same sort of job. But yeah, in the end, I think I'm going to end up, yeah, that looks like it happened at the same sort of time, or over the same sort of time, and I'm happy. This instrument will be available for raffle. It could be yours. Check out the link in the description of the video below, and we'll go from there. And most importantly, let me know if you want it to be yours. Oh damn it! I did all of that without actually recording. It's not. The raffle isn't live. I've just made my mind up to raffle it off. But I wasn't actually recording to discs, so there we go. Rick Natal says, this is keeping me away from my usual Sunday sailboat YouTube fare. That sounds fun. 10S Guitars has some relics that might be worth. I'm going to have to go through all of these comments after I've said goodbye to you lovely people, and check out all of the people you told me to look at. Tia Buxton says, sorry I missed the beginning, was this a new Les Paul? Not quite new. This bit here was buckle rash, but we've just created all of this very heavy checking and all of this rash up on the top here. And it's only the first pass. It's nowhere near finished. I haven't touched this side yet. It's very much a work in progress, but yeah, it's going to be fun. Look, everybody, yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. Keep cool, and I will be back with more of this. Dave Lewis says, Ben, if I win it, can you fix it? Can I fix it? No, if you win it, this is not going back. I assume that you want a Relic Les Paul if you enter the raffle to win it. The raffle competition. Ben, use a buffing wheel on the neck. I am going to be doing some more buffing along the back there to match it a little bit. Tahoe Mike says, you need to strip at least one of those screws. That's a very good point. Pieter Huskin says flathead screws. I'm tempted to make new back plates without that sort of dimpled shit. I hate that. I could potentially go and do... I kind of want it to look like an old Les Paul, but I also don't want it to look too much like an old Les Paul. So we'll see. Give it an acid bath. Just say it's a Rory Gallagher played this Relic job. Give it an acid bath and be done. That's from Deja Voodoo. I'm seriously tempted to drip some acid in some of these cracks and see what would happen there. But yeah, we'll figure it out. If in doubt, give it a clout. The bigger the doubt, the bigger the clout. That's from Anonymous Botch, whose name I still love. Paul Cook says, Ben's working his way up to the Executioner's Axe. I need to get one of those up here so you can have a look at them. Okay, Paul Need says, have you knocked back the edges of those cracks? They look a little brighter than on a lot of crazing I've seen in Nitro. Yes, it is currently a little bit too bright. So, for example, the end result is I'm going to pack them with grease. I'm going to hit the whole instrument with sort of a medium fret rubber in the end, which is going to dull off the finish as well, make the finish a little bit less shiny, but also take the cracking down just a little bit. Because yes, I've been fairly heavy-handed with this. You live and learn. Anyway, look, questions. Joshua Valverde says, rub brass keys around if you want that yellowish effect. Ow. Fingernail underneath lacquer, that hurt. I think the yellowish, it's underneath the lacquer. It's where it started to lift off the wood. But yeah, you're right. I would probably get that. I actually have some brass inlay powder to have a look at. Steve, talking about this Strat, says, that's why I don't like heavy Relic. They go too far trying to make them different. Fair enough. I suppose you're right. No, I'm sorry. I agree. I think you are right. Rick's being cheeky, saying, if I win it, can you make it fretless? Dave Lewis says, Ben, please let your subscribers know when the next live stream is. I was very much... I'm trying to think about that, to be honest. Okay, so yes, the next live stream is going to be tonight at 8 o'clock UK time. So in 3 or 4 hours, I'm going to be doing a live stream Q&A. And I'm looking forward to that. So that's tonight. And then I am back at headquarters tomorrow morning for the first time in a while. Fine. Okay. I will be doing more of this guitar tomorrow at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That'll give me... so yeah, there'll be a couple of hours of playing around with relicing of this guitar tomorrow afternoon. Or maybe something else. What else could I do? If this is a long-term project. Oh, I don't know. But there is going to be a live stream tomorrow at 2 o'clock in the afternoon where I will be looking at either playing around with this a little bit more or working on another vintage guitar or something. We'll see. I just prefer the feel of the Les Paul. Very out of tune. Thanks for watching. We've done stuff. Catch you on the flip side. Or tonight. Goodbye.